UC Santa Cruz is one of 10 schools in the University of California system. I visited in the spring of 2022 to interview students about campus culture.
Is there a stereotype about UCSC that is actually true?
There are a lot of stoners here.
And on this trip, I met Maya. During our interview, Maya mentioned that a number of UC Santa Cruz students live in vans.
It's almost like an Airbnb. I've met students that live in their vans and that will almost have like a little space to cook their food and everything on campus.
To learn more about what's creating a student population of vehicle dwellers and what it looks like for a UCSC student to secure housing, I spoke with Darrell Owens, a UCSC student and policy analyst who writes about housing affordability.
I'm Darrell Owens. I'm a writer. I'm a policy analyst. I am also a student in computer science. I go to the University of California, Santa Cruz. I'm 25 years old. I'm working on my undergraduate. I'm a senior. And I do a lot of writing about housing, and I do a lot of data analytics about housing.
Can you tell us more about what your experience finding housing at UCSC has been like?
The University of California, Santa Cruz has the worst housing crisis of any UC in the UC system. There's about 10 or maybe 11 campuses for the University of California, and I'm from Berkeley. So I knew how bad the UC Berkeley housing crisis was, but UC Santa Cruz put it to shame. And I didn't realize how bad it was until I actually decided to go there to finish up my undergraduate. It was a combination of two things. One, it's a somewhat geographically isolated town, so frankly, probably not the best place to put a university, but regardless of that, there is a big community here on this side of the California coast. And the university itself is developing and surrounded by a lot of low density housing. So the town is very low density for the pretty substantial population demands to both live there for work and also to live there to study. So I didn't realize that going to Santa Cruz. I thought going to Santa Cruz, it probably wouldn't be as intense as back home in, the center of the San Francisco Bay Area, but it was actually quite the opposite. It was worse. I was forced to compete in these terrible bidding wars with dozens and dozens of other students for rundown shacks. I was desperately looking on the rental pages for any housing, and there's only 2 pages available of housing, and there's hundreds and hundreds of students complaining. Sorry, not hundreds, thousands of students complaining. The University of California, Santa Cruz is the only UC in the entire system to exceed over 100% occupancy for its beds. Every UC is basically at 100% occupancy except for Merced, that's a little under, and UC Santa Cruz is at 130%, meaning that you have tons of people who are sharing beds. I managed to get a dorm the first time I came here, and that's after pestering the administration, and it was really hell. It almost kind of felt like prison. The whole thing, you go into your dorm, and I'm living in what is obviously a single unit for one person. That's they threw a bunk bed in there and called it a double, but it's this tiny cramped space. My bed is barely up against the ceiling, so I had no room to even, I struggled for the first time I remember I came there for an hour. I struggled to just get on the bed because I just couldn't fit. And then I remember the first night I came to Santa Cruz and got my dorm set up and everything, and I'm walking around and I'm seeing students sleeping in their cars in the parking lot, not just a couple, entire parking lots full of kids sleeping in their cars, like some kind of substandard trailer park or something. And then I would walk through the forest in the days ahead, and you would see students camping out in the forest, and they'd be like, yeah, well, I couldn't find any housing. So it was pretty disturbing. And then on the second time I come here, now that I'm a senior and I'm finishing up my last quarters, tried to apply for dorm housing here. I didn't get anything until 2 or 3 days before the quarter started. By then I just wasn't going to opt for that. That's just too late. So I went into the private market like most students have to, and it was like hell.
How much are you paying in rent now?
I'm paying $1,200 in rent, which is actually very good, but my commute time to the campus is 1 hour on transportation. And that's actually, I'm one of the lucky ones, because the other place I had lined up was a place that was $1,500 in rent for a 2-hour commute to campus. These local UC towns have to actually be part of the housing solution rather than just saying it's not my problem, while they reap all these high property values and students are forced to sleep in their cars.
Santa Cruz was recently ranked as the second most unaffordable city for housing in the United States. The abysmally high cost of living, however, has also yielded one of the most unconventional on-campus housing options in the country. I returned to UCSC with Anna to learn more about it. Camper Park is surrounded by redwoods. The air here is dry and warm with an earthy scent. There are 42 trailer spots, and each trailer is uniquely decorated by its inhabitant. The origin story of Camper Park begins in 1980, when a group of low-income UCSC students started car camping on school grounds. UCSC issued a car camping ban and arrested students who defied it. After negotiations between students and administrators, the university agreed to open UCSC Camper Park in 1984, which has since been the cheapest on-campus housing option by a landslide. After exploring the grounds, Anna and I talked with Sid, who's somewhat of an unofficial leader here, about the culture of Camper Park, what kind of students the park attracts, and how much he pays to live here.
So my name is Sid, I go by he, him pronouns, and I study politics and community studies as a double major.
So we're at Camper Park right now, and I'm curious from an insider's perspective, like, what is this place? What is Camper Park?
Camper Park is the most communal option you have at UC Santa Cruz. It's also the cheapest option at UC Santa Cruz. It's a special type of student, I feel, who seeks out the Camper Park for sure. Definitely a non-traditional student.
How much do you pay in rent to live here?
Yeah, so I pay an extra $50 a month because I have a sewer hookup, so I can use my own shower and toilet. So that's $749 a month, whereas the majority of the campers pay, I think, $690 or so.
And how's that compared to other dorm housing on campus?
Oh, yeah, so I believe a triple in an apartment on campus is $1,400 a month for one person to pay a triple per month. So collectively, that's like over $3,000 put into one room.
So when
per
we're
month.
talking about a triple, we're talking about three people in one room.
In a small
not
room.
Like...
It's small triple, yeah. One reason I wanted to join the Camper Park was because I knew that there was a really, really tight sense of community here. Also because it's cheaper than even off-campus housing. And I came into this thinking like, okay, we're gonna have to coexist a lot. There might be some issues within the Camper Park, but so far we haven't had any issues that I know of. Among the residents, it's more the residents versus the school and who should be taking care of us and our basic needs that really aren't being met. UCSC loves expanding. They love building more housing, not to house more students, but to make more money. Because the UC is a business. If they could, they definitely would build here and have, $1,400 triples if they could. But since the Camper Park has been a really big source of resistance, because we really love this community, and there's a lot of deep history in it, they can't do that, at least right now while we're here.
Sid was then kind enough to invite us to tour his trailer.
But yeah, this is my camper. I love red and white, and so I was really lucky to get this one. We don't get to choose. I also have a radio player, so it's a couple speakers up there, which is dope. And yeah, this is my bed. They gave me a pretty big bed, which is cool. Keep my clothing in there, and then there, and my guitars just on each side, because there isn't very much room. This thing opens up actually, so I can keep my belongings down there, which is exciting. And I work at a coffee shop, so I have bags of coffee for days. And that's the fridge that they gave us that explodes all of my LaCroix cans.
Can you open it?
Yeah, totally. It's pretty sad. I can only put so much in it. That's why they gave us bigger ones to fit our food. So yeah.
And there's no bathroom.
In this one there is.
There is a bathroom.
Yeah, if you want to take a look, that's what it looks like. I have a toilet, a shower.
Do you use the shower?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it only stays warm for a minute and 30 seconds, so I take military showers.
Are the ones in the common area more reliable?
Yeah.
Do you hang out with your friends?
Yeah, we all chill here, hang out. It's fun. Yeah, I could fit like 2 people here, 2 here, probably 4 friends on the bed, and then I bring in a couple of my lawn chairs, so I can fit a good amount of friends in here.
Sid introduced us to another resident, Matthew, who was also interested in speaking with College Vine about living in UCSC's trailer park.
It's a little tight knit. Kitchen, I use this as like a closet with storage, so there's like clothing hanging up. This is my small little kitchen. There's a little light for when I do my dishes.
So is this an electric stove?
No, it is not. It's gas. If you'd like, I can give a demonstration.
Sure, let's see it.
Yeah, so this stovetop pops up. There's a little light and usually a fan we put on. A little loud. But usually we turn this on. I have a little lighter. I could go find. I think I left it in the community
That's
room.
okay. I think we get an idea of how this works.
Yeah.
And this might be a silly question, but do you have a propane tank?
I do.
And
They're
how
up
often
front.
do you have to refill that?
Thankfully, I don't have to do it. Maintenance comes by at random intervals. They probably have a schedule, but I never see them, and they check and put it in.
So it's just always filled. You don't really have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so we have the sink. I assume there's no garbage disposal. So are you
No.
connected to like what is it?
There's a gray water tank. So we have these little caps that are in the sink to catch anything. You have to clean that out regularly. And then there's a little piping thing that I also use for my cutlery and cookware storage. That runs down to the gray water tank. I'll move that out of the way for you. And that goes outside. I have to regularly empty that out because it fills up. You know, normally in a home or a sewer hooked up residence, your piping goes into like an underground waterway and you don't have to worry about it. In this case, we have to deal with it. So there's a tank outside that I'm sure we can show you later that the piping connects to. So all of my water goes into that. And once it fills up, I have to empty it out. And if I don't do that, the water will come back up into the sink, which is a pain.
And this is your desk, I assume.
Yes, this is where the magic happens for schoolwork.
Thank you to Sid and Matthew and the other parkies for welcoming us into your space. What do you think of Camper Park? Is this somewhere you'd want to live in college? Let us know in the comments.
That was so cool. Thank you. Yeah, listen to my